Today, we are interviewing a farmer who is selling raw milk. Like, that's her main gig. And let me tell you, this is an example of a niche market. Now, she hasn't been doing this very long, but she's already seeing some great success. And we're going to break down some of the things she's doing in her sales and marketing that are helping her. And my hope is that you'll be able to take some of these principles and apply them to your business. Let's get started. Hey there, this is Corinna Bench, and welcome to the My Digital Farmer podcast. In today's market, it's not enough to just grow your product. You've got to know how to sell it too. Welcome to the My Digital Farmer podcast, where we reveal online marketing strategies and tips to help farmers like you get better and more confident at marketing. Learn how to find more customers, increase your sales, and build a strong brand for your farm. Let's start the show. Well, welcome to episode 280 of the My Digital Farmer podcast. I am your host, Corinna Bench, one of the farmers at Shared Legacy Farms out in Elmore, Ohio. I'm also the founder of mydigitalfarmer.com, which is all about trying to help other farmers like you get more confident in your marketing and sales strategies so that you can grow a profitable farm business. How's everyone doing today? Welcome back to the show. Big shout out to all of my regular listeners. Welcome back. And if you're new to the show, thanks for checking me out. Make sure that you subscribe to the podcast, especially if you need some help learning the marketing fundamentals. And go check out my first 10 episodes. I've designed those for newbies in this space who are trying to learn the ropes. I also encourage you to get onto my email list if you want some marketing coaching that's free, because when you do, you're going to get an email from me at least once a week that is going to basically walk you through the marketing jungle. It's so good. I think it lasts for like 3 months. And by the end, you're going to have a lot of knowledge to kind of move you forward. And if you decide that it's not helpful, you can just unsub. So you can go get on that list by subscribing at mydigitalfarmer.com/subscribe. Today's episode is sponsored by my friends at Local Line. Switch to Local Line and grow your farm to new heights this season. Local Line is the most comprehensive sales software built for farmers and food hubs. Its features include e-commerce, automated inventory management, subscriptions, a website builder, point of sale, and more, helping you increase your sales and streamline your processes. So whether you're a CSA farmer or you sell meat, you run a food hub, or maybe you sell wholesale or offer a herd share, Local Line has the tools and features that you need to succeed. We're a big fan. Are you looking to switch to a sales software that does it all? Subscriptions start as low as $49 a month with no setup fees or sales percentages. That's huge for me. Plus, if you join Local Line today, your onboarding manager will migrate your storefront at no cost, so you can be up and running in no time, even in the middle of the season. As a bonus, if you are a podcast listener, Local Line is also offering a free premium feature for 1 year with your subscription when you use my coupon code MDF2024. So go to mydigitalfarmer.com/local line and then enter the coupon code MDF2024. Make the switch today. And now back to the show. Today's going to be a fun episode because I am interviewing a raw dairy milk farmer, and I don't think I've ever had anyone on the show to talk about this. There are some unique selling challenges when you have raw milk, as I'm sure you can imagine, and we're going to talk that through. Katie hasn't been in business for very long, but she's already made quite a huge sales jump, and when you listen to this, you're going to see that she's kind of anticipating what she needs to overcome in her messaging in order to get to her ideal sales numbers. So even if you don't sell raw milk or you're not planning on selling raw milk in the future, I think there's a lot of key marketing lessons in this episode that you can apply to your farm. So let me just quick read her bio to you and set some context. Katie Miller is the owner of Positively Grown Farm in the small town of Hopkins, Michigan. She's actually a fourth-generation dairy farmer following in her dad's footsteps, who has been farming for 35 years, and she's going to talk about that a little bit at the beginning. Now, she is the first in her family to pursue the raw dairy industry and have one successful year under her belt with no slowing down in sight. And you'll see that she is growing like crazy. When she's not milking cows, she enjoys riding her Harley with friends, going to festivals, and being a mom to 4 emus, a duck, 3 cats, and her lab pit Ruby. Please join me in welcoming Katie to the show. Well, Katie, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited.
Oh, I'm so glad you're here. We're going to talk about raw milk today, and I want you to get started by just telling my audience a little bit of your backstory. Where did you get started? What led you to start your farm and get into raw milk?
Yeah, so actually, my dad has been a dairy farmer for over 35 years. He's been operating his own dairy for 35 years, but there's pictures of him milking cows at 2 years old. So his father and his grandfather were both dairy farmers, but my dad started his farm from one cow. He would actually milk his one cow and he would take the milk to Lake Odessa, which is about an hour drive from where we are here in Hopkins, and he would sell it to the Amish. So, 35 years later, we're milking 36 cows, and I have one successful year of the raw milk share that we have transitioned into. So been a really fun transition, and I've been on this farm my entire life. So to really have my foot in the door and be a part of it has been super exciting.
What made you decide that you wanted to start going into raw milk?
Well, the conventional world of dairy is just not friendly to the small farmer. We are puny compared to most dairies milking 36 cows. So the way that farmers get paid for their milk is for every 100 pounds of milk they sell, they only make about $18 to $20, which is crazy. My dad's actually making about the same amount per hundredweight that his grandfather did back in the 60s.
Mm.
So raw milk, you're cutting out the middleman and you're basically working directly with the consumer. So you're able to profit 100% from all the hard work that you've put into that gallon of milk.
Yeah. Are there other I know that sounds like a huge business justification for why you would branch off into raw milk. Are there other personal reasons? Were there things that people that you knew that struggled with health or maybe your own journey with health that caused you to say, I want to go this route?
Yeah, absolutely. Pasteurized dairy, more people are intolerant to pasteurized dairy than practically any other food. But 80% of people with lactose intolerance can actually drink raw milk just fine. I believe everybody's kind of coming to light about how our food isn't even real food anymore. And when you look at the history of milk, it's like humans have been consuming raw milk for over 10,000 years. Pasteurization is newer to us humans than raw milk is. So it's like it can't, if it were really that bad for you, like would humans have actually been able to survive off it for as long as they were? Like it sustained some cultures. Some cultures, that's all they really had was like the meat of their animals and their milk.
Mhm.
So we're basically trying to get back to the roots of where our food has really come from.
What does your father think of all this?
Oh, he's all about it.
Yeah.
He's so like anti-government and stuff like that, he has been a huge supporter of transitioning into raw milk because my dad, he only drinks raw milk. He says store-bought milk tastes like water.
Mm.
He can't even drink milk that's more than 3 days old because he says that, he just loves having his own fresh milk. And he gets to also interact with the members that I bring to the farm for our tours.
Mhm.
And so just having him being able to converse with all these different types of people and share his story, he is more than happy to talk your ear off about farming and milk and whatever else you want to talk about.
Yeah. Would you say that he's one of the faces of your farm business, this kind of offshoot? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I would not have any of this if it wasn't for both
Yeah.
of my parents. My mom, she also works a full-time job and then comes home and helps milk cows every single night. Like, we are very much a family owned and operated business. And I do farm tours, and that's one of the reasons that I do farm tours, is because then these people get to come and see this farm that we've grown up on like my entire life, and they get to meet my family, and it really brings them like a sense of like peace and comfort to see how passionate we all are about it and how much we truly care about the product that we produce. Because I'm not going to give something to your family that I wouldn't feel comfortable my own family consuming.
Yeah. Walk me through the production process a little bit. And this is actually something that I'm curious about because I'm like a former suburb girl who married a vegetable grower, right? So I feel like I had this huge growing curve in terms of like learning curve in terms of how vegetables grow once I married my husband. I feel like I kind of understand that now, but I don't know a ton about dairy and specifically raw milk and how that works. Can you just sort of give me a little quick primer on basic 101, how it works?
Of course. So the biggest thing that we do is a lot of cleaning. So all of our equipment, we have a really nice setup from my dad being a conventional farmer for the past 35 years. So a lot of it is automatic for us, but we wash and sanitize all of our equipment before and after every single milking. We have to have our water reach a minimum of 180 degrees to ensure that any like buildup or bacteria in the pipes is all gone and dead. So after we run the sanitizer through all of our equipment, we bring the cows in. We milk 12 at a time. So milking really only takes us about an hour, which is really helpful to keep everything clean, of course. But once the cows come into the barn, we spray them off with iodine, which is it helps kill bacteria. And then we have a bucket of hot soapy water and a bunch of clean paper towels, and we go through and we thoroughly clean the udders. And then once the udders are clean, we put the milkers on. And once those come off, they get sprayed with some more iodine because it will actually congeal at the end of the teat and protect from any dirt from going up into the duct and causing like an infection.
Okay. And so the whole herd can get through in 1 hour. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. How many people does it take to help you manage this? Is this just you kind of overseeing this, or is it multiple people?
So it's my dad and I, or my mom included, that goes and milks cows every day. So typically we do have two people milking at each milking because we milk twice a day. But if somebody's gone, then we can get by with just milking with one person.
Okay. Forgive me if this sounds like a silly question. I might cut it later. But
No worries.
so what does this herd eat something different? Like if you're producing raw milk or selling raw milk, does the customer expect them to be fed in a certain way that's different than a normal conventional cow herd might be?
So that's pretty much at the discretion of each and every farmer. There are a
Okay.
lot of people that do want to pursue like the grass-fed, grass-finished, raw A2
Okay.
dairy. And really, it's just like what you're kind of capable of at the time. So we actually prefer to supplement with grain and silage, and we grow all of our own corn. It's all non-GMO. We pasture our cows as much as possible. We stay away from pesticides, stuff like that. But to become entirely organic and stuff in the dairy industry is rather hard and expensive. And so it's not that we don't necessarily want to. This is just within our means right now. And our cows are happy and they are healthy, and our members are satisfied with the quality of their milk. So feeding them the grain and the silage and stuff right now, that's just what works for us. I can't speak for everybody else's dairy. If they have the means of doing A2 organic grass fed, then
Yeah.
hats off to you, but that's not what we're doing right now.
Okay. Yeah, I was just curious. I didn't know what
Yeah.
the rules there were for. So you mentioned the word herd share. So if you're selling raw milk, is that kind of the only way that you can go about doing it is through the herd share model?
Yes. in Michigan specifically, the sale of raw milk is illegal. So the only way around it is through a herd share. Basically, the way that works is you're going to buy into the herd, you're going to be owning a portion of the herd, and then what you're actually paying for is for the farmer to take care of your share of the herd. So it's kind of like buying stock in cows, I tell
Mhm.
people, and your dividend at the end of the every week is your gallon of milk that you're entitled to.
Right. And how much milk are you producing with the size of a herd? I'm just curious because I just have no idea.
Yeah. So we actually produce about 160 to 200 gallons per day. So we have the ability to take on quite a few customers. But with the herd share, currently I'm getting rid of almost 400 gallons a month.
Okay. Now, when a customer approaches you or finds out about you, do they already understand the concept of the herd share, or are they just looking for raw milk and they don't understand that it has to be done this way? And is there like confusion there?
More often than not, they need a lot of education, but I'm happy to do it.
Yeah.
Most people don't know much about raw milk until they meet me, and then they know too much. So when they reach out to me, one of the first things that I ask them is, are you already familiar with how a herd share operates? And more often than not, they say no. So then I go into the explaining the legalities of things and also the commitment that it takes to be in a herd share. It's a bit more difficult than just grabbing a gallon of milk at the
Yeah.
grocery store, especially where I live. I'm about 30 minutes in every direction from a main city. So lots of people do have to commit at least an hour once a week to drive out and pick up their milk. But I've found lots of my members, they actually really have come to enjoy the drive to come and pick up their milk. Lots of moms say it gives them a chance to leave the kids at home with their husband and they get an hour of peace and quiet to go and pick up their milk. So
I love it. What's the average amount that you find people are consuming?
2 to 3 gallons. Once you kind of get into raw milk, you find that there's lots of things that you can actually make out of it. So since it's not homogenized, pasteurized, you still get all of the full fat and cream within it. And to
Yeah.
make butter, all you have to do is scoop the cream off the top, put it in another jar, and just shake it. And
Yeah.
then a ball of butter will magically appear after like 20 minutes. So once they start getting into making butter, then they want to make cheese, and you can do all sorts of different things with the whey, like you can make bread. I've even made lemonade with the whey before. You can get really creative with all of the things that raw milk really brings into your home. And so that's what I tell people. I'm like, you'll find that it will replace more than just the milk in your fridge.
Right. And the duration, how long does it take for it to spoil? Is it shorter?
No, actually, raw milk doesn't spoil the same way that pasteurized milk does. So when they pasteurize milk, they're doing so to kill off any of the bad bacteria. But when you produce raw milk for the intent of human consumption, then you don't necessarily have the issue of all that bad bacteria. So when they pasteurize it, they're not only killing bacteria, they're killing like lots of the vitamins, the minerals,
Mhm.
all of those things are either inhibited or destroyed. And so all the living organisms that are found within raw milk, they don't have the opportunity to culture the way that it
Mm.
would in raw milk. So that's why store-bought milk gets like moldy. But raw milk, it will basically ferment. And you can see like the curd separating from the whey. Even once it starts to get a little bit sour, you can use it for yogurt, cheese, sour cream, stuff like that. So it can last for upwards of a month. It never lasts that long, in people's
Yeah,
homes.
people are using it.
Exactly. They use it pretty quickly. But yeah, they say raw milk doesn't go bad, it goes cheese.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Today's podcast is sponsored by Farm Marketing School. This is my monthly membership where farmers can come in and build marketing assets one at a time in special 30-day build projects that I've created for you. There are currently over 14 different projects inside of Farm Marketing School, including your website homepage, building a promo calendar, building a promotional email challenge, testimonial and reviews, how to build a better offer, your email nurture sequence, your lead magnet. There's a sales funnel audit. There's a ton of good stuff in there. And I'm adding new material every couple of months. Plus, you get a monthly Zoom meetup with the whole group in the middle of the month. And we'll be doing some book studies off in the fall. I'm really there just to try and empower you and help you get your marketing assets built. So the way this works is you subscribe from month to month. You can cancel whenever you want. You go in, you take the assessment. There's also a crash course in marketing that you can watch to just learn the lingo and the vocabulary and the framework. And then you get started building your first marketing asset. Every project includes a hour-long tutorial, a resource folder that gives you lots of templates and examples to help make the process of actually building your own version really fast, and also a project planner to help you time it out and make sure you get everything done. If you want to learn more about how to join Farm Marketing School and try it out, you can go to mydigitalfarmer.com/FMS. This is my new kind of flagship offer, my community that I'm going to really be pouring myself into over the next 6 to 12 months. Really excited about it. So I'd love to interact with you. Join at mydigitalfarmer.com/FMS. And now back to the show. So I want to spend a little bit of time here talking about the sales process of a product like this, because it seems like there would be some challenges when it comes to the legalities
Mhm.
and the potential health risks, that I think are out there in the public space. So if someone has a little bit of cluelessness about this product, or maybe even a little bit of skepticism, what are the key questions that you find you have to overcome for them before they're ready to think about buying this product?
Yeah, so there is a lot of education that goes into raw milk. I always say that I'm never selling the product. I'm just sharing the information that I have available to them. And we also do get our milk tested every 10 days. So the fact that they know that we are taking it to a lab and having somebody that is their profession to look into the amount of bacteria and what have you that is in the milk is definitely favored when it comes to people consuming our raw milk. Lots of people give this to their kids and stuff. So I also want to ensure that we are doing our due diligence on being able to provide the cleanest and best product available. Also, I do encourage everybody to do their own research, and realistically, raw milk is actually safer for you than the lettuce that you buy in the store. There's more people that have gotten sick off the E. coli, like in a lettuce at a big box grocery store, than there are from people that have ever gotten sick from raw milk. And so people have really been misconstrued to think that raw milk is this evil, thing that's just absolutely terrible for you, when it's actually one of the most nutrient dense foods that you can consume, that is 100% bioavailable for your body to absorb. The reason that people can consume raw milk that are lactose intolerant is because there is enzymes that are naturally found within raw milk that their job is to break down the lactose. And so our bodies don't necessarily produce enough of those enzymes on their own. And then when you're drinking milk from the store, it's basically trying to digest a dead liquid at that point. And that's why it has so much trouble. And it is a huge night and day difference for a lot of people. I have a handful of people in my share that they've said that they thought they were lactose intolerant for the past 20 years. And then they can drink raw milk just fine. And they're like, I've been robbed.
I'm actually discovering that I think I'm lactose intolerant because I've been drinking lactose-free milk for the last month, and
Yeah.
I'm doing just fine now. So
Yeah.
it's very interesting. This is totally resonating with me. And now I'm like, I need to go find somebody who has raw
Yeah.
milk and just
Great.
test it out. So you said it sounds like one of your key talking points when you're trying to pitch this product is to reassure people that the product is actually safe
Yeah.
and clean. So overcoming some of those myths that raw milk might be unsafe to consume,
Correct.
or minimizing the risks, significantly minimizing the risks. And then that it's also very healthy, and trying to retrain people to see it as actually perhaps even this superfood, better than I think of just normal milk as a healthy thing to have. But what
Right.
you're saying is like, this is even better than normal milk.
Yes.
Like, yeah, like this idea that your milk has been robbed is such a novel concept for me. So that you really almost have to reprogram the
Mhm.
customers to realize that.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
what are the legal restrictions when it comes to promoting this product? Like, how are you allowed to talk about it? Are you allowed to actively promote it on social media, for instance, or on your website, or do you have to watch what you say?
I do watch what I say on some platforms, although Facebook is probably the one that I use the most. We are allowed to advertise our milk, but that's really, or advertise the share, not the milk. But that's really about it. And most of my posts are just like overall farm related. Like I will post that we do have shares available, but like I like to post pretty pictures of the farm and the cows. So then once they see that, maybe that'll kind of lure them in to check out my page, and they're like, oh, she also has herd shares available, and then that just creates a whole nother rabbit hole of information that if they're anything like me that they will inevitably go down.
So you're actually saying we have raw milk, or are you just saying we have milk?
We have herd shares available, and then if somebody's
Okay.
like, what's a herd share,
What's a herd
or
share?
Yep, or
Gotcha.
I'll post pictures of the our beautiful mason jars. We provide all of our milk in glass mason jars, and there's just something about milk in a mason jar that is just so pretty, and people love it. It brings you back to like the milkman delivery days where everybody was getting their milk in glass jars. So that's definitely a key ticket to having people interested as well, because another thing, all of our food is wrapped in plastic. And that's why I went with the glass jar option, because I didn't want to just be adding to the things that are just a detriment of our earth, reduce, reuse, recycle.
Yeah. I want to encourage everyone who's listening who is maybe thinking about how would I go about doing this on my own farm. Your website has some really good language on it for how you introduce the farm and what you're about and how you sell the milk. I wanted to quickly read the upper paragraph, if that's okay. That's at the very top of
Yeah,
your website, at least as of today. And this is August 8th, 2024. So who knows what it'll say
right.
in the future for people who listen to the replay years from now. But and what I thought this was interesting as I was looking at it, because I can tell that it's worded carefully, like it's not just, hey, we've got milk. It's like, no, we have to talk about it in a different way. So I'm going to read it. It says, have you ever wanted a farm of your own? So imagine this is the first set of words you read on this farm's website. More and more people are working towards a self-sustainable life where they know exactly how and where their food was grown and raised. Unfortunately, starting a farm of your own is easier said than done. Now is your chance to join the positively grown family, where you will feel right at home with us on our farm. Come meet the cows that provide us with our amazing raw milk, kick your shoes off in the garden, let your kids run wild, or pull up a chair next to us under our favorite shade tree. All the benefits of a farm of your own, only we will do the hard work for you. We're happy that you're here. That's just like a work of art right there, because it's basically saying this is your farm. It's inviting them to join the farm as a member, right? It's really making it sound like, yeah, you're a member of the farm instead of saying you're just a customer, we're
Yeah.
providing you milk. And I don't know if that was intentional when you wrote that.
It absolutely was intentional. Like, I want them to feel like they are a part of something. I want them to feel like they're family. And that's one of my favorite parts that I have learned from this herd share is all of the great relationships that I have created because of it. People see me and they come up to me and they give me hugs. Their kids will run up to me and give me hugs. People are always sending me like, look at this cheese that I made. I'm going to make ice cream this weekend. And I just think that is so cool, because I'm not, like, I'm not just in it for the money. I want to actually make a difference in people's lives. And I feel like this truly has helped me accomplish that goal. And I never expected milk was going to be the way that I that I did that sort of thing in the world, but Yeah, it really is a beautiful thing of what has become my herd share and all of these people. And, they know that they're more than welcome to come to the farm. Some people will text me and be like, hey, can we go check out the baby cows? And I'm like, absolutely.
Yeah. Are they meeting each other in some way? Is there a way for you to connect them as a community?
Some people have ran into each other. That's actually one thing that I'm working on is I want to do a member appreciation day this fall.
Mhm.
And I want to have just a big barbecue and have everybody come out and meet each other because it's funny sometimes like I'll meet someone and in my head I'll be like, "Oh my gosh, you would be great friends with so and so." And I have 70 members now. And
Oh,
so it's
wow.
like everybody has their own niche, their own specialty. If I could create just a community where we all can go to each other for like construction or, gardening, whatever, then it would be more beneficial to have um to build those relationships within a community that's already established and there's
Yeah.
already a sort of trust, because we're
Yeah.
all like in this together. We're all part of the raw milk revolution.
Yeah. And I'm just thinking that the kind of person that would be attracted to raw milk, that's drinking raw milk is uh probably like it's a certain kind of person.
Yeah.
And they tend to be similar to one another. I feel like there's a lot of like-mindedness in terms of other values and other practices and disciplines they have in their life. Like for instance, I used to be in a homeschooling co-op, and quite a few of them I noticed were drinking raw milk. I didn't ask them where they were getting it from, but they found somebody. And it
Yeah.
was sort of like this thing that we do. And it was I don't know, almost like, why aren't you in the raw milk drinking club if you're a
Yeah.
homeschooler? Like you should be doing this. And so I suspect that when you find a way to connect these people, they're going to bond. Some of them are going to realize that they actually have quite a bit in common, and it
Mhm.
might end up sort of creating even more loyalty
Right.
to you. Is this the kind of product that a person becomes a lifelong customer for?
100%.
Yeah.
There's no going back to pasteurized milk after you have gotten a taste of raw milk. Most of my customers, they treat it like it's liquid gold. They
Yeah.
some of them tell their kids, like slow down on the milk, like you're not gonna save any for me, stuff like that. Like there's been a handful of people that have had to up their share. I've even had people that have come out to the farm, took home their first gallon, and by the end of the day they were contacting me telling me, why don't you add on another gallon to my share? Because
Mhm.
this stuff is so good. I know I'm going to be going through at least 2 a week now.
Yeah. Well, before we talk about like what your sales process is in your funnel, because I'm sure you have some kind of a little machine working, even if you're not super aware of it. Um, let's talk about this customer of yours a little bit more. Like, what are the similarities that you see in the kinds of people that are attracted to this sort of product? What do they care about? What have you seen?
Just lots of moms that are becoming more and more conscious of what they're putting into their children's bodies.
Mm,
You look on the back of anything at the store today and it says bioengineered food ingredients. And so, a very common thing that I hear from people is that they're just trying to get less and less from the grocery store and that they're becoming more aware of the fact that small farms like mine, they're on the verge of extinction, unfortunately. So they are not only providing better food for their families, but they're also helping their community in the long run. But yeah, overall, it's just that they see the value in taking that extra mile to find something that is legitimately good for you, like untainted with like just pure forms of of nutrients to be able to give their kids at these detrimental stages of their life. More and more is coming out about how our food directly affects our mental health, and mental health is a huge struggle for lots of people today. 70% of your serotonin is derived from your gut. So if you're just filling yourself with all of these bioengineered food ingredients to a 7-year old versus feeding them with fruits and veggies and, natural things, then you're going to get them off to a much better start in many aspects of life, not just, just their health.
Yeah, you're preaching it to me, man. I'm
Yeah.
literally like literally healing my gut right now. Like I'm seeing a functional doctor and we are working to rebalance my gut because something happened. I don't even know what.
Mhm.
But for the last 6 months, I've just been getting better and better. So I I know all about this stuff now. It's
Yeah.
super exciting. I'm like, why didn't I know? Here I am, like 50 years old, and I just have been completely clueless. So you said that a lot of them are women, they're
Yeah.
moms with younger children.
Yeah.
Do you see a certain income level? Because I'm guessing that this is a higher priced product, and most average Americans are expecting milk to be a certain price. And when it goes above that, we all have like, we have, I was going to say we have a cow. That sounds, I shouldn't say
Yeah.
that. We freak out.
Yeah.
But this is probably a premium price product, more like a luxury item. Do you feel like it's a certain income level?
The income level does vary. There's some families that, they might be middle to lower class, but they budget to
They
make
make it
sure that
happen.
they can get their raw milk every week.
Hmm.
Because it is quite a bit more expensive than what you're going to purchase at the store,
Yeah.
but really you're buying what you pay for. And I tell everyone, if
Yeah.
you knew the amount of work that went into your gallon of milk, you would not you would not question the cost whatsoever.
Well, and like the flip side is that you're going to pay for it at some point.
Yeah.
If it's medical bills
Yes.
later on in the future, or you can invest. It's an investment. You're investing in your health. You can do it proactively on the front end. Um, do you have people that come to you with medical issues? Is that kind of a pattern that you see? Like who this whole lactose intolerant thing, and they're buying it because they can't tolerate other milk.
Yes, very often. I've even had people that have said that the raw milk has helped heal their gut. There was specifically one of my customers, she said that she would always have to take a lactate pill after she would eat ice cream or yogurt or whatever. And since she's been in my share for over a year now, she's like, my gut just already has naturally the probiotics and enzymes that are supposed to be within it, that I can eat ice cream and I don't have to take a lactate pill anymore. Or another mom, her son had such a bad intolerance to dairy that when he was breastfeeding, she couldn't even eat pasteurized dairy and feed him without him having a reaction. And she's
Wow.
actually one of my favorite stories because they were just desperate, to have
Yeah.
dairy in their life. So they went out on a whim, joined the share, and a week later she texted me and was like, this is not my kid. Like, I cannot believe this, but he has not had a single bad reaction. And I don't have children of my own, but lots of people with children, they'll ask me questions about that kind of thing. And I at least now have people's experiences to share with that. Or
Mhm.
the people that are in my share, they advocate for raw milk so much. I've asked them if they would mind talking to like another mother who is kind of on the
Mm.
fence about raw milk. And so I've connected people that way. And, the person that she did talk to actually did end up joining my share. So, it's a benefit all around.
Yeah, those stories of life change, and to hear it straight from the customer's mouth, from one customer to another, that can be really powerful. I was just thinking, like, as a person going through all this dietary stuff myself right now, like
Mm.
I'm really resonating with like, when a mom calls you up and says, I don't recognize my kid, like you've just
Yeah.
changed our lives. Like this is real. Like I have felt so isolated. I didn't realize how much food brings us together and creates a connection and a bond with our families. And for the last 5 months, like I have not been able to eat with my family. Like I have to eat an hour beforehand. I eat completely different foods right now. And it's very isolating. It's like, I just feel I miss it. I feel like I'm out of the loop, like I'm not a part of them, and it's very sad. It's one of the things I've been mourning and hoping that one day, when I had this new doctor tell me, well, the goal is that one day your gut will be healed and you'll be able to eat a lot of these foods again. And I was like, really? Like that's the
Yeah.
part that is the win, So when we talk in marketing about what does the customer want, they don't just want your milk. What they want is the transformation that your milk provides. And so if you can like heal their kid, like, and give their kid a chance to have ice cream again and have those memories that you grew up having as a child, like, and feel normal and feel like they're a part of the community. Like that is huge. So, I love that. I love that you've got stories like that you can tell. Um, okay, so we've talked a little bit about some of the similarities that you see. Like, where are you finding these people? Is this
Um,
mostly word of mouth, or is Google helping you, or like how is this working?
Yeah, it's a little bit of everything, honestly. I like to dip my toes in all the buckets
Yeah.
just
Well,
to
tell
really get
us.
the word out there. So I do a lot of flyers anywhere that I think some like-minded people are going to be, like natural food stores or even just little places in my town. Like my town's really small. We have a population of like 600 people. So word spreads quickly, and everybody goes to the same gas station, the same library. So high traffic areas that are close by, I'll put my flyers or business cards. The gym, I will leave business cards there. Even Facebook posts, I do get a lot of people interested from Facebook. Word of mouth absolutely help, but I feel like Facebook has been my biggest area of reaching people.
Hmm. I'm going to make a suggestion to you too. I don't know how many other farmers you have around you or how big your network is, but I personally, as a farm business owner, get a lot of questions from customers who are looking for a raw milk provider. And they
Yeah,
go to me because they think that I'm going to know all the dairy farmers and be like,
yeah.
well, this is who I recommend. So that's another place for anybody who's listening, like, to take the time to get to know some of the other influencers or other people who know your people and who aren't a threat, who aren't doing raw milk, themselves, and be like, hey, just want to make sure I exist. Here's some of my milk. Try
Yeah.
some, right? So that when somebody comes to them with that question, they can be like, well, I do know of a farm that does it, right? I've had their stuff. It tastes yummy. So that's another thought. I don't know. You sounds like you're pretty rural. You said people are driving an hour. Where are they driving an hour from?
So where I live, we're about 30 minutes north, south, and west from the biggest cities that I'm near. So
Okay.
yeah, I live in Hopkins, but we live right next to one of the main highways. It's a straight shot highway. So, you just hop on and you drive 30 minutes, come pick up your milk, and drive
Okay.
30 minutes back home. Yeah.
So hour round trip, not hour one
Yeah.
way. Okay.
Yep.
That's
I've
totally
actually
doable. Yeah.
I've actually had some people drive over 2 hours one way to come and pick up their milk.
Wow.
Yeah, over from so we're Southwest Michigan, and I've had people from the Detroit area come and pick up milk. They were only able to sustain that for a little while.
Yeah.
Whenever people reach out to me from the east side of the state, I will gladly send them the any information that I have on herd shares closer to their area or
Yeah.
a means of finding something closer to them. And I'm like, please, for the convenience of your own life, and like,
Right.
try to find something closer. And I'm all about supporting any other farmer. If I can,
Yeah. Yeah.
if it's a matter of you having something more convenient for you versus me gaining one more customer, I want you to have something that's more convenient for you. The
Hmm.
industry is still benefiting from it one way or another, even if it's not going into my pocket directly.
Yeah. Do you have to legally like communicate the quote unquote risks of this product to your clients as part of the contract, or do you make them sign a contract?
Yes, we actually have an 8-page contract.
Okay.
I often joke with my members that it feels like they're signing their life away for a gallon of milk,
Or
which
buying
is,
a mortgage, right?
yes, exactly. I believe that when people take the step into officially starting to use raw milk, they have already done a lot of their own research. But I do have within my contract that you are supposed to do your due diligence of researching raw milk. Obviously, if they have any questions for me, I will happily answer them. They're more than welcome to see any of the testing that we do as well. Um,
Do
sorry.
you include this contract on your website? I don't think I saw it, but I didn't really hunt around for it. Or like, what is that? How do they become aware that there's a contract that they're gonna have to go through with you?
So typically, before somebody signs up for the membership, they have a conversation with me first. And
Okay, like
then
on the phone or just in person or chat? Are you
usually,
chatting on
yeah,
your
usually
phone?
like messaging, yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes I do phone calls, but usually within that first conversation, if we get past the part of them knowing what a herd share is, like the commitment that it entails and price wise, if everything sounds good to them, then that's when I send them the contract to look over. And then I will have a hard copy for them to sign after they've come out to the farm. So basically, I give them that to look over, and the last step is the farm tour. And if they're still, happy, good to go by the end of the tour, then I make sure that I ask them if they have any questions regarding the contract. It's pretty self-explanatory, straightforward, even
Yeah.
though it is 8 pages long. um, but yeah, so that's typically the last thing that we do, and then they get sent home with their milk.
And how did a lawyer help you write this contract? Or did you
Yes.
find an example? Okay.
Yep. So I'm actually part of a membership called Farm to Consumer Legal Defense Fund. They are a team of lawyers that advocate for small farms like mine, and they have been a huge help. Actually, whenever anyone reaches out to me with questions about starting a herd share of their own, that is always the first thing that I recommend them doing is getting a membership through them, because if anything happened legal wise, they will represent you in court. They wrote up my
Yeah.
entire contract. They're always available for any types of legal questions. And it has been a huge help to have them on my side. And they are very reasonably priced as well. So they're worth every penny.
Yeah, and you just have that peace of mind too, that someone's got your back.
Yeah.
So you have actually quite a few steps in the pre-qualifying process of
Yeah.
getting these customers on board. This is really interesting. And actually, I think in some ways it's really smart because with every additional step, it's like another commitment that they have to make, right? It's another pre-commitment that makes it more likely for them to continue to say yes and to really
Exactly.
take it as a serious contract. Yeah. So
Yeah.
you have a conversation. If they want to go further, then you send them the contract. So they have to review that. Then you require them to come out and actually see the farm, which also means they're meeting you and taking up your time. Now they're even more like invested. And then they have to probably sign the contract with you right there in your presence.
Yes.
Okay. I mean, that's like 3 different times where you're basically saying, "Are you sure?"
Yeah. Yeah. And I do that purposefully, and I
Yeah.
do some questions that require a specific yes or no answer. And that I guess might be considered a sales tactic, of course, but I also want them to be well aware of the commitment that they're making, and it's not to be taken lightly.
Yeah.
Even though it is just milk, to some people, but to me, it's like I want to ensure that we are entirely on the same page so there's no questions down the road.
Well, and no, I don't think you're asking too much. I think it's brilliant. I don't know if this is scalable for like, other kinds of businesses, but for something like this,
Mhm.
where the customer that you're acquiring is in most cases like going to be a lifelong customer. The customer value of this person, of this lead is enormous because
Yes.
milk is a staple. It's something they need every single week. Um, it's a premium price product and they're gonna be with you for 10 years, 20 years, who knows, right? So to spend that amount of time to get that client to finally say yes totally makes sense, right? That isn't a bad use of your time. Have you ever had someone say, I don't think I want to do this when they come for the tour?
Yeah, I have had a couple people that
Oh, really?
yeah, that really only because of we're not 100% grass fed, we're not 100%
Mhm.
organic and A2 and stuff like that. And some
Okay.
people, that's just really, really what they want. And, I have nothing against that, and if they move on and they find another farmer, then I just support the fact that they're even looking for raw milk at the very least.
Yeah. Okay, so let's zoom out. We've already sort of touched on some of the pieces that are in your marketing machine, but let's really try to stitch it all together. So the marketing system from the beginning, the funnel, if you will,
Yeah.
people hear about you probably in several different ways. So you talked about flyers and making your, there sounds like you have word of mouth going
Hmm.
for you as well. You have your website most likely operating for you where they can go and research and do a little bit more information. Um, you do you get people onto like an email list at all, or like what is the next step? They just decide to call you and or message you to, is that kind of the next step you coach them to do?
Yeah, that's actually something that I'm working on right now. I'm actually paying my little sister to be my marketing editor, and she's going through your course right now.
Oh, I love it.
To be able to help me out on that, because that I will admit that that is not my area of expertise. I love being the person that is in front of the customer, like having the conversation, doing the tour, doing the dirty
Yeah.
work, and providing the milk and stuff like that. But to sit down and write a newsletter every single week, it's like it's always been in the back of my head that I need to do this for months and months and months. But so I'm like, if I can just pay somebody to do
Yeah,
it,
do it.
yeah, then absolutely. I'm all about delegation. But no, currently right now I don't do an email list or text messages or anything like that.
Okay, so you're not collecting leads in any very organized way. So
Yeah.
you're having to kind of do it live. Somebody shows interest, then you're jumping all over it and you're following up with them right then and there. Is that just happening in Facebook Messenger or
Mostly Facebook Messenger. Yeah. By the time that they reach out to me, it usually takes like 1 to 2 days before we have a farm tour scheduled. And then
mhm.
it just depends on how soon they are available. I typically try to do it on weekends, because that's just when most people are available. But within the first week of somebody reaching out to me and them deciding that they want to join the share, then they're going home with some milk.
Okay, so this means that the in your process, you have to have a regular farm tour, kind of a next one waiting in the wings. Does that mean you're getting, like, just help me understand, like, are you getting an average of 1 to 2 new potential people for a farm tour every week? Or like, what is that? What are those numbers looking like? Is it growing slowly, or do you have bursts of the year where suddenly there's a lot more people at the beginning of the school year, or how does that work?
Typically, yeah, typically I have at least about one a week, but sometimes I will have just like an influx of people and we'll just have, a handful of people join all at once. Like some months I'll have 10 new members, some months I'll have two new members. So
Okay.
it really just depends on whether or not my advertisements have reached the right people.
Okay. So you're always like basically waiting to throw together that tour slash sales pitch, right? On the
Yeah.
weekends for if there's someone that can come. And they reach out to you, you give them the basics back and forth, either on the phone or over texting, and then you invite them to this experience at the farm. Um, they come out, that's already like another major micro commitment. And then you give them the tour. Now, the tour itself, do you give some thought to how you're doing the tour so that you're answering the right questions? Like, what is the stuff they want to know? What are you focusing on?
So I feel like one thing that really helps me is the fact that I do everything very organically, and that kind of brings like a peace of mind to these people. They obviously know that I am a business owner and I know my stuff and I'm doing the what I need to do to operate that business. But at the same time, I'm just like trying to create a friendship with them. And when they come out to the farm, one of the first things I do is I bring them to the baby calves because everybody's like, oh, baby cows, like, let me pet them. And I go over the history of the farm and I tell them exactly what I told you about my dad and how he created this from just one cow. And they can look around and see, like, wow, like he started all of this from one cow. Like, that's amazing. And from there, usually the herd is up close to the barn so they can go over and see their cows, and see all the girls that provide us with the great raw milk that they're going to be consuming and show them our parlor. Our parlor has really been a big selling point on a lot of people. I've even had people tell me like, you guys were the third share that I have toured, but you were the first one that I was willing to buy into because your setup was so nice. And so
Mm.
that obviously goes back to, that the cleanliness and everything
I
of
was going
raw.
to say cleanliness. Is that what you mean
Course.
by that? Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Um, do people ever bring a friend or do you ever encourage them to bring a friend along? And then those people are like, how do I do this?
Yeah, I have had a handful of people that are like, "Can I bring, my friend or my kids?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, absolutely." Like
Yeah.
I love showing people my farm. The farm tour is my favorite part of the
Yeah.
process because that is when people are really immersed and create their own appreciation of where their milk comes from. Like how
Mhm.
often do you get to have your feet in the exact place that the product that your family is consuming? Like how often do you get to experience that for your own self?
Right.
And so I
Right.
feel like that is like pretty much the most important part of the entire tour because it just gives them an entirely different perspective of
Yeah.
the entire
Yeah.
process.
Now, do you take them into a special room where you review the contract with them again and together you sign it and then you give them their milk? Like just walk us through that, the final closing process there of being at the
Yeah.
farm.
Yep. So I actually do have a little room that I have built into my garage. Some of the biggest companies in the world today started from their garage, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
So I'll bring them into my little herd share room, and that's where I have like my refrigerator, our freezer with meat and everything, and then I'll show them where they'll be coming to pick up their milk every week. And in there, we just, finish off any last questions that they might have, like what to do with their jars and stuff once they're done. And then they sign the contract and grab their milk.
Now, do you provide them with support along the way once they're a member? What does the follow-up look like so that they stay in touch with you?
Yeah, so after the first week, I will text them and ask them how they are liking their milk. And 99% of the time, they're like, we love it.
Mhm.
Like, how has it taken us this long to switch to raw milk? Or they're like, I made cheese yesterday and stuff, or they'll send me pictures of their butter. And yeah, so I do make sure to follow up to make sure that everything has gone smoothly and that they're enjoying it. And then whenever I do run into them, because when they come and pick up their milk, it's on their kind of their own time. I
Yeah.
don't always get to see them for their milk pickup every week. But if I catch them while I'm outside, then I ask them like what fun stuff they've been making with their milk, make sure that they're still enjoying it and knowing that I am there if they ever need me to be.
And you are not, so you're not emailing them every week with like, here's another thing you can do with your milk, or because that isn't something you set up, but that would be another opportunity, I think, as you
Yes.
said it was your sister that you
Yes.
hired.
Yep.
Yeah. Even if it's just even once a month in this case, like just continuing to support them with ideas or share ideas. Hey, this is something that so and so who's a member did with her
Mm.
milk. Here's her picture, right? Of the butter she made, or
Yeah.
or here's a video from Jamie Oliver making the butter, right? In case you don't know how to do
Yeah.
it. That would be another opportunity too. Do you have like what does the ascension ladder look like for your product? So do you just sell milk or do you have other things that you could offer them at some point to continue to drive the revenue up for that customer value?
Yeah, so with raw milk, Michigan is a pretty finicky state. So the only thing that we're allowed to offer through the herd share alone is just raw milk. We're not
Okay.
allowed to process it into butter or yogurt or anything like that, which hopefully that will change in the future because that would be a game changer if I could start adding like butter
Yeah.
and yogurt because we have the milk to make it.
Yeah.
So, but I do try to offer as many other products as I can. So we raise our own beef. We have free range eggs. I am a huge advocate for supporting all small farms in our community. So I will buy honey in bulk from
Mm.
a beekeeper who's actually part of our share. Another farmer who owns an apple orchard down the street. He makes his own like raw unpasteurized apple cider vinegar. I also will buy maple syrup from another farmer. Lots of things, pretty much anything that I can get my hand on, especially now like that we're in season for veggies. I just bought a ton of sweet corn and peaches off of somebody, because I don't really profit that much off of it, but just having something else to offer my customers that are making the long drive
Yeah.
out to Hopkins once a week to get their milk, they really appreciate that. And all the other farmers really appreciate helping
Yeah.
getting rid of their product too.
Yeah, that's brilliant. And paying attention to what are the things that have the highest profit margin for me, right? Obviously, and
Yeah.
trying to do more of those. I'm always curious to think about what is the upper limit in terms of how much a customer wants to spend in a transaction with me. As we
Right.
have a CSA as well, and we have multiple um types of add-on shares. And one of the delicate balances that we run into is like, well, we don't want to have so many different shares that a person ends up buying, an assortment of shares that don't really have a high profit margin for us instead of the one
Mhm.
or two that do. So it's
Yeah.
like maybe we don't need to have that many of those and we just have a few so that our profit margin's higher. It's kind of an interesting like, mix where you have to watch out how much stuff am I selling in the store because they could end up
Right.
buying the things that actually don't becomes a lot of work for me to package it, but I don't actually profit a ton. But
Yeah.
um, so l- how are people actually like paying for it though? Are they writing you a check or are they going online to buy this so that you can prepare in advance and have it ready with their milk order? What does that look like?
So I have cash customers as well as my online customers that purchase through my e-commerce store. And
Okay.
so, I kind of do half and half, just whatever more convenient for them. Some people just prefer to pay in cash, and cash is king. I love cash.
Yeah, I like cash
But
too.
also having the e-commerce store makes it very easy for me to keep track of a lot of the payments for people, and it's easier for people to just have this subscription come out of their bank account every single week versus having to remember to write me a check or to bring cash, once a month. So I feel like that has really helped me gain and retain a lot of customers because people like simple. So if I
Yes.
make it as simple as possible for them, then down the road when I do add more and more products to my the things that I have available, then
Mhm.
they're going to be more likely to purchase them if they can just hop on my website and make
Yeah,
the order right there versus having to wait to come out and talk to me, and all.
right. Right. So, what I also love about subscriptions is that over time, as the business owner, you can see the data. There are always going to be a few people that drop in and out, but you generally see like the graph going up or down or staying level, right? And it gives you a sense of confidence and like, okay,
Mhm.
I can pretty much feel good about continuing to make this money in the bank every month.
Yeah.
And if something's coming, like you'll begin to sort of see it because the graph will start going up or down just a little bit, right? But it's this nice peace of mind that I have this many people who are always paying consistently. I don't have to like
Right.
knock on their door and be like, don't forget the check.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
that's one thing that's awesome about a herd share is the fact
yeah,
that it's a subscription and it's year round. I can
yeah,
count on that money to be deposited
right.
into our bank account each week. And raw milk is such a niche like market.
Yes,
It
yes.
is so hard to come by. I actually came across a text message from somebody from January early this year, and I realized that in the past 6 months, my herd share has doubled in size in the past six
Wow.
months. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, we went from 35 members to 70. And it's like sometimes like those months that I'm like, oh man, like I only gained 2 members, and kind of
Yeah.
am a little bit down on myself. But then I come across something like that and I'm like, Katie, you're fine. You've literally doubled in 6 months. Like that's amazing.
Yeah, and that just shows the pattern, right? That it'll probably continue to
Mhm.
grow even at that basic level. And just imagine like if you can get this email marketing funnel in
Yeah,
place, what could happen? That could actually double or triple your results because I
right.
think I think probably where if you have a speed bump in your sales funnel, this is just me like talking off the cuff now after we've chatted for 30 minutes about it, but it seems like it would be on the front end because there has to be so much education to
Mhm.
explain the concept and get them comfortable with taking that quote unquote risk to go into this, I don't want to say sketchy, but for some people they might have some concerns
It
like, well, some people
could
told me
happen
it's
with
not
real
safe, right?
yeah.
Yeah, you have all these objections you have to overcome, and that's what this sort of email nurture sequence could do for you. It would be an opportunity for you to introduce yourself, tell stories, build trust, but also overcome those questions one by one and explain the process. And now they're like, a pre-qualified lead and they can really,
Right.
um, they have fewer questions when they finally meet with you and they're ready to sign on the dotted line. So, I
Yeah.
think that could really end up exploding. What's kind of your limit that you would be willing to take?
I'm willing to take as many people or that are as willing to take me.
Yeah. Because
We've got,
even in terms of your processes though,
yeah.
like at what point do you get to a certain size where you would need to hire someone else to help you, or, another workflow needs to happen because you can't wash that many bottles that fast or
Yeah.
whatever. Like what does that look like? Can you tell what that number would be?
So the way that Farm to Consumer recommends that you operate your herd share is you don't sell more than 50% of your shares. So the way
Okay.
that you calculate the amount of shares that you're able to offer is how many gallons per week you produce. So we produce over 1,200 gallons in a week. So we have the ability to have at minimum 600 members, and I would absolutely need to hire somebody at that point. That's kind of why, like, I'm so busy with the 70 members that I have now and that I'm so focused on them. That's why I'm like, okay, let me hire somebody to do my marketing because
Hmm.
I know I can't wear all the hats and
Yeah.
I don't want to try to either. Like
Yeah.
this is my expertise, and my little sister, I know she just has a much better personality and drive for the things that
Hmm.
marketing requires. So I think
Hmm.
she's going to be 10 times better at it than anything that I would be able to do with it. And so yeah, we have the potential of having 600 members with the amount of milk that we produce right now. But by the time that I make it to like 150, I believe that's when I'm going to have to start asking somebody like to help me fill all
Hmm.
my milk jars and everything. But one thing that I do with my share that I would also recommend for some other people's shares, just to kind of like help take a little bit of the weight off your shoulders. So everybody in my share has their own set of jars and they are entirely responsible for the cleanliness of their own jars. So I don't have to go through and wash 300 jars every week. I obviously make sure that they still look clean, smell clean. If there's any jars that I deem dirty, then I will wash them, but they get charged a cleaning fee. So it kind of gives them motivation to make sure that their jars are clean because they don't want to have to spend that extra $5 to have their jars cleaned. Like that's kind of embarrassing, you know. But it saves me a lot of time, and people actually like it that way better because then they know that
They know.
the 4 jars that they're rotating, only their family is using them.
Right. That's brilliant. And that's probably in the contract as well, that
Yes.
it's
Yep.
very
It
clear.
is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so what have been I want to kind of start wrapping this up. What have been some of the big milestone breakthrough moments for you in this journey as you look back and you sort of see every business kind of grows in stages, right? What have been some of those breakthrough moments for you?
I look at myself as somebody that tries to really stay on the positive side, regardless of whatever it is that I'm going through. And I feel like that has helped me along this entire journey. Like I have celebrated so many things as milestones. Like my first customer was a milestone, my 10th, my 20th, every single customer is just such a blessing to my life because a year ago today, I was so worried about even getting one single customer. I'm like, who's gonna come out to Hopkins every week to pay $12.50 for a gallon of milk? And so the fact that I've gotten as far as I've gotten in this short amount of time is just like mind blowing to me. And my advice to somebody who's just starting off would be that you're never going to be in the perfect place. Like if I was still waiting for everything to be perfect, like I wouldn't have started.
Mm.
I also do one milestone that has been pretty recent is the fact that I started doing pickup locations. So as I mentioned, Hopkins is a little bit far from some like major cities. So Now I will do a pickup location in one area on Friday, and then I have another area that I do on Thursdays. So instead of driving 30 minutes, all they have to do is drive 5, 10 minutes. They pay me a little delivery fee and stuff, and I'm able to reach that many more people. And that was something that I put off for so long, like months. I had been wanting to start doing these pickup locations, and I just was worried about messing it up, you know? So finally, I just committed to one person. I was like, yes, I will be here on this day at this time. And once I had one person in the bag, it was so much easier to add 10 more people, you know?
Yeah.
And so now I just have that entire new avenue of reaching people and getting more like raw milk into people's lives. And then they have spread the word as well. Like I've only been doing one of my drop locations for a couple months, and I've already got 10 people. It makes me
Mm.
an extra $200 a month just off of the delivery, plus all the extra milk that I'm getting rid of.
Yeah. That's brilliant. And that's an example of doing like a pilot project almost, right? Like I'll do it for one, and then
Yeah,
you end up, creating a system around it because you've made
right.
that commitment. And then it's like, oh, this wasn't actually as scary as I thought it was going to
Yeah,
be.
exactly.
And then there's another frontier, right? Another
Yep,
thing that you want to do next that feels a little
exactly.
scary. Um, I just want to make sure that I tell you, I think it's really awesome that you are embracing this idea of hiring a team. And one of the things that's fascinated me in the last few months is really looking at like the that businesses grow in stages, and I'm really trying to kind of get a better handle of that as I talk to different farmers like you and look at how they're running their business. I think sometimes people get started, they start their farm and they think they're supposed to be like at level 3 right away, and it's like no, no, no. There are certain things that you do at the beginning that you have to go through, and then you make it your goal to kind of graduate to level 2, which is a whole nother ball of wax. And it has different ways you run that business and different ways of being the entrepreneur and the CEO and different things that you do. But one of those markers of kind of shifting from level 1 to level 2 is hiring your first team member, right? And
Mm,
like deciding I'm not going to do all of this. Um, and it's getting over this myth that we carry that I have to do it all, or I can't spend money to make money, right? And
yeah,
so I love that you sort of embrace this idea of I'm going to hire my sister and I'm going to get my time back in the process, and she's going to build the system for me that's going to actually make me more money. And I already see it like it's going to work. I'm just telling you right now, it's going to work. I'm so excited for you
thank
because
you.
you don't have the time right now to write all that or the desire to
Yeah,
make that machine piece, that gear in your machine, but you can pay somebody a certain amount per hour to do it. And once it's done, it's gonna like crank out people for you, right? And
yeah,
maybe one day you'll also have people going to those pickup sites for you so that you don't have to be the face at every single one, right? And you'll be willing to take that risk and pay someone, and then you get that time back, and now you can go and continue to grow your business, and then it'll just multiply and explode. So I'm
right.
so excited for you, and
Thank you.
I think you're going to do amazing. Are there any final like thoughts that you want to share before we wrap up? Were there any little aha moments that you didn't get a chance to bring up, or um, yeah, like advice you want to give to farmers who are listening?
Um, I already mentioned this, but I think it's just so important to just take that first step. Like you you just have to say yes to one person, and so many more blessings
Mm.
will fall into your lap. Like I never expected to be where I am right now in the amount of time that I've been. And it almost has felt effortless in a way
Mm.
because I truly believe that this is my passion and my purpose. And growing up, I never expected to be a dairy farmer alongside with my dad. Trust me, if anything, I was trying to get away.
Yes.
And now I'm trying to save it at all costs and stuff. But when you find that one thing that you are just so passionate and like in love with life about doing, like do not stop. You know, but
Yeah.
one of my favorite quotes of my own to that's a joke with me and my friends is you've only got one life, you better milk it.
Well said from a dairy
Yeah.
farmer. I love it. I completely agree that when you operate from your place of energy and you follow the energy, then It's almost like energy attracts more energy,
Yeah.
and it just fuels immense growth. And I can't explain it, but I've seen it over
Yeah.
and over again. And it's become a mantra. I teach this to my kids. I'm like, follow your energy, because your energy will never disappoint you. It will lead to new opportunities. The universe will bring things in that you can't even imagine right now. All of a sudden they're just
Yeah.
there, and things start to fall into place. And it's like hitting an intersection with all green lights, but you have to trust the energy.
Yeah. Yeah. Even
And
being on the podcast right now, I never expected randomly coming across your podcast that one day I would be on it.
Well, here you go. I love it. This has
Thank
been
you.
so fun. And not only has it been fun in terms of just learning about I've never had an episode about raw milk, and just understanding this process and what a unique journey you have to take your people through. But I think we've also had some fun conversations about the mindset of an entrepreneur, and having some of the things that you have to get over that are all in your head, and
Definitely. Yeah.
that's all definitely part of this process, to building your dream. Katie, where can people go to learn more about your farm?
My Facebook page is Positively Grown Herdshare, or you can go to my website, www.positivelygrownllc.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much again for being on the show. This has been so fun for me, and I've enjoyed hearing your story. And hopefully we'll have you back maybe in a couple years when you've reached that next level, and we can talk through what you've learned along the way, and how you've scaled.
I would love that. Thank you for having me.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that interview. That ended up going longer than I had anticipated, but there were so many good points that she had to share. Thanks so much for coming onto the show, Katie. That was great. Today's show notes can be found at mydigitalfarmer.com/280. And if you like today's episode, please go leave me a rating or a review. If you want to get onto my email list, I have some free stuff to send your way to make your marketing even stronger for your farm. You can go to mydigitalfarmer.com/subscribe to get on that list. And if you decide you don't like the stuff I'm sending you for free, then you can just unsub. Don't forget, I'm also now on Instagram at mydigitalfarmer. Please head over there, follow me, and look for my stories. I show up a few times a week with some more marketing tips to share live. And I'm looking for guests for the show. If you think you'd be a great candidate, or you know someone else that you'd like me to interview, please send me their name at mydigitalfarmers@gmail.com. Thanks for joining me today, everyone, and I'll catch you next week. I believe in you.